Good evening. Mr. Canales, can you call roll, please?
Ms. Carasola.
Here.
Mr. Cohen.
Here.
Mr. Corey.
Here.
Mr. Hayward.
Here.
Ms. Parlamas.
Here.
Ms. Rendell. Ms. Stevenson.
Here.
Ms. Calvez.
Here.
Dr. Robinson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Ms. Carousel, can you lead us through flag salute, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of meeting. In accordance with PL 1975, Chapter 231, notice of tonight's meeting was mailed to the Record and the Ridgewood News on January 7th, 2025. Notice of this meeting was also mailed to the Borough Clerk and was posted on the bulletin board of the Board of Education office in the Administration Building on the same date. Ms. Calvi, are you able to read the mission statement, please?
Yes. The Glen Rock School District, founded on principles of education in partnership with a supportive community, provides an exceptional education to all students to cultivate resilient, responsible, and engaged global citizens.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so today we have two wonderful presentations. We have the National Merit Scholarship Program semifinalists as well as the National Merit Commended Students.
And Dr. Daniel will be presenting us.
Good evening. The National Merit Commended Scholars are high-achieving students recognized for their outstanding performance on the PSAT. Commended Scholars represent the top 3% of test takers nationwide. This recognition acknowledges their academic excellence, dedication to learning, and potential for future success. Commended Scholars often receive accolades from colleges and universities, showcasing their commitment to academic achievement and their potential as scholars and leaders in the chosen fields. We would like to congratulate and recognize 11 students of the class of 2026 as National Merit Commended Scholars. They are Ashley Chen, Chloe Jang, Victoria Johnson, Jenna Joseph, Caitlin Kim, Jay Krybek, Olivia Lee, Kira Lynn, Dhruv Sahu, Neil Sextina, and Zachary Yona. As the 2026 National Merit Scholarship Competition progresses, standout students across the country have been also named semifinalists, showcasing exceptional academics and dedication to their studies. Each year, semifinalists are selected based on their performance on the PSAT, placing them among the top scorers nationwide. To put into perspective, over 1.3 million juniors entered the National Merit Program by taking the PSAT last October, and roughly 16,000 students nationwide out of 1.3 million have been named semifinalists, and 2 of them are from Glen Rock High School. We would like to congratulate and recognize the semifinalists in the 2026 National Merit Scholarship Competition. They are John Merchant and Joseph Yip.
Students and parents, you are more than welcome to stay for the meeting, but if you have other things to do this evening, tonight, right now would be a great time for you to slip out. So nobody will take any offense.
Okay, it's wonderful to celebrate just educational excellence. So congratulations to all of our students. And then we'll move on to our regular agenda for our CAL meeting. Nothing under personnel. Under general, can I get a motion to discuss G1 through G2? Ms. Parlemis, seconded by Ms. Carasella. Questions or comments? Ms. Carasella.
On G2, I just want to say how excited I am about this. I think it's great. We're a small district, and when we're able to collaborate with a partner to enrich our own sports program, it's a win for everyone. So just really thankful to the parents who worked on this and the students that are going to be participating. I think it's really fantastic.
Absolutely, I second that as well. I know, I don't even know how long ago. It was like, I felt like about 2 years ago, Christy Chin asked if there was a way for this to happen, and had done like so much work in terms of getting this done, and calling schools and arranging things, meetings and things like that. So it's really, really impactful when parents, work with us to get this done. So thank you so much, Christy, and thank you to all of the families that it took to put this together, so that's wonderful. Christine?
Same thing. Stephanie said it perfectly. Just, it's an amazing accomplishment. I'm excited to see this added.
Awesome, great. All right, we can call roll.
Ms. Carosella?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Corey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayward?
Yes.
Ms. Paralamas?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
Ms. Calvez? Dr. Robinson?
Yes,
Motion's pass.
thank you. All right, one moment. All right, so the next thing on our agenda is policy. So there are a couple different policy discussions here. Again, we have the bylaw for policy 0174 that we need to discuss. Just to reiterate, I would say that, I guess I would want to know from you all what additional or what changes you're looking for in terms of the policy 0174, and just, like for anybody that's listening, it's policy 0174 is really just about our use of legal services, and we can identify if there are any changes that we want to make in terms of who gets the ability to contact the board lawyer, and what direction we go with that. So what are your thoughts? I know it was brought up at the last meeting, so what are your thoughts? Yes.
As I said at the last meeting, I'm in support of it just being the board president has contact with the attorney. I think it streamlines everything for us, and it's one voice on our behalf that is talking to him or her.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Cohen.
Yeah, so I agree, but the board president for sure, 0174, I agree that the board president should be speaking for the board. Just on 0145, I think, so two things. One, you mentioned last time that we should look at the resignation no more than 2 weeks, so I think we should.
Yeah,
follow that.
I'll talk about policy 0145
Okay,
like right
but
after.
Specifically to that, and I think it's in real time, the saying a good cause is actually now becoming a problem, because who defines what good cause? And
I'll be able to tell you what I spoke with Mr. Zittimer about.
okay, great, because we're just getting an email about good cause, so it'd be good to.
I know,
see.
I can tell you,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
I can tell you. All right, so with policy 0174, yep,
Just to echo the point, currently our board structure is a CAL, Committee of the Whole. I think this makes sense to have the board president, even if we have ad hoc committees or other subcommittees, because those are different directions, but that communication still consolidates
Mhm.
up. So I'm fully in support of that, because I think this policy will last and be durable through other formations of the board.
I agree. And I mean, as you know, many of you have spoken with Mark and even Rod Harrow when he was our board lawyer. So if you need to speak with a lawyer and you think that there's like the just cause for it, then you just reach out to me or our CSA as well, where that's applicable, then we're able to talk. So there's not really a change in your ability to access the lawyer or legal services. It's still available. Okay, so that'll probably be again on our next meeting to adopt and fold into our policy, and we'll make the adjustments. So I think the things that Strauss Esme requested were just very much like your standard legal language. It didn't really change the policy itself. We just need to mark or annotate that our process isn't changing. And that's it. All right, so policy 5339.01, the student sun protection. Dan, you had mentioned something before with regards to that. Did you have anything?
We hadn't been in discussion on it before, but
Mhm.
I think when we discussed it before, we were stuck between the choice of two options, and then reading this further, that it's just, these are optional additions into it that just add additional administrative process and layers and constraints So we have a policy that kind of reads that sunscreen's a good idea.
Yeah.
Sounds fine to me. Hearing a little bit of feedback from the school nurses in our last meeting on it didn't really convince me that we need to add in more process and layer. But if we had that more formal feedback going forward, we reopen these when we need to. I just haven't really understood that there's a need to add in the extra pieces.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Barlamas and then Ms. Carasella.
So where it says optional, we have to vote that in, correct?
Yeah.
So as it stands for this policy right now, we're just saying, yes, kids, you can come to school with your non-aerosol suntan. And great, have at it, correct? And that's where we're at. And the optional is adding in if they go on a field trip or anything. I would favor not having any limitations for having them. They can just bring it at will if they want, as long as it's non-aerosol.
Okay. So one of the things that was mentioned, I guess, so I compare it to also like camp, right? Our kids go to camp, we have I go to Spring Lake, so then they have to have sunscreen, and the policy there is that the staff can't apply it. They can only, it has to be aerosol if they're applying it, because they can't put hands on children. And so I would caution any process that would then require any of our staff members to put hands on children for that reason. And so I don't know, hold on, let me pull this up. 1 second. Carry on 1 second.
Dr. Robbins?
Yep,
I
go
think
for
you're pointing to the second part here, that sunscreen can be aerosol. So the policy limits aerosol entirely, and then you can add it back on if, and this seems like a process to establish, if it, as such, the district prohibits the use of sunscreen that the principal or designee may deem harmful to students with asthma or other respiratory illness. So we're putting the burden on the principal to determine if aerosol harms a student, and that's...
So I think, like the way that I imagine this policy going, and I think I would ask administration, is at the beginning of the school year, like if it's part of like some sort of questionnaire, does your child have any problem with aerosolized whatever? Like it's just like one of those things, like do they have an allergy to nuts? Do they, whatever it is. And so if there's an issue with regards to aerosolized product, then, like that child might be removed from the area. That's the way I read it. I would like to know from administration if there is, I know you might not be able to answer, but yeah. I think that if you do not allow for aerosol, and especially if you have, depending on the age of the child, if you are asking for any staff member to assist in the use of the product, it's going to need to be aerosolized. So, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Carasella,
No,
yes.
I was just going to clarify, you were saying that you wouldn't do either, we'd skip both optional ones because they're optional, we don't need it, the other policy stands fine on its own, right?
I feel like I've become the sunscreen policy.
No, that's what I was thinking,
person.
like, it says optional, and I'm like, well, we
No,
don't really need that, or we don't really need
I
that.
kind of want to pull back a little, but this is a great reason to have committees. This discussion could be bantered back
Well, I mean,
between
this
three
is
of
like,
us.
so when our
Yeah.
committee of the whole, so this is
Yeah.
the complication with this structure that has
This is where we are,
existed
yeah.
for, years before my
Then it says-
tenure, right? So committee of the whole is where we basically are sitting in committee right now.
Optional.
The odd part about it is that we're sitting in committee having these discussions while people are watching.
On Glen
And
TV.
if it doesn't feel organized, then it feels like we're not accomplishing our goal. Like we're afraid to say something or to make a mistake or like to bring up something that could cause alarm because we're meeting in this kind of structure, which was determined for reasons that other boards might be able to weigh in on if you were on them. So the time to have these kinds of open conversations is now, like in our current structure. And I mean, I'll say this to the community, like if you could pardon our, lack of knowledge on certain things or questions on certain things, or we have to come back because this is the only time, and it has been asked of us to have more of these kinds of discussions in public. So this is like literally This is it.
then this is the transparency we are trying to deliver.
Yeah, the imperfect,
On your point, though, of aerosol being a non-contact, that does make a lot of sense.
yeah.
So I could see why this discussion, that makes more sense to add that in. So thanks for adding that, and thanks for pointing that out. So,
Yeah. Yes, go for it.
So I think the first option doesn't make sense. The first option requires permission to carry sunscreen. I think sunscreen is a basic thing nowadays, and so I don't think we need the first option. Second option is that the kids can bring sunscreen unless the principal says otherwise.
Yeah.
And so I think it's fine. I don't see any risk with the second option, so I would strike the first one and just add the second one. I don't see any risk with the second one. It just allows the administration to put something in the future if they need to.
Yeah. Yes.
After we discussed this at the last meeting, I think there was some confusion whether or not the staff had weighed in on which one that they preferred. I was confused when I left that, because first I thought it was no, we didn't hear from them, they want to hear, we had a say, and then something was said where it sounded like they had an opinion. So do we know if the staff who actually has to implement this has an opinion? I'm assuming it's going to mostly be school nurses.
Yeah. I think we'd have to ask Dr. Charleston and find out from there. It would be nice, I mean, anybody that's watching, I know we often have GREA members that are here to be able to pass that on as well, like that would be helpful. Yes.
I would just note the last line of the policy that says, "Nothing in this policy shall be construed as requiring a staff member to assist a student in applying sunscreen." So it's off the table for staff with the policy regardless of options,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, but if you're teaching kindergarten and some student needs help putting on sunscreen, I don't know any kindergarten teacher that'd be like, yeah, no, do it yourself. Like, a teacher's natural instinct is to help their students. Especially, I don't know that a 5-year-old is gonna be able to put their sunscreen on properly. And I mean, obviously, I'm a big sunscreen wearer myself, but you wanna make sure our kids are protected from the effects of the sun. So, I mean, we're saying that we're not gonna require the staff, but
You want to
I
make sure
would-
your staff are protected too.
absolutely, which is why I don't have an issue with the aerosol, where it's easier for a young child to use that as opposed, I mean, a teacher's gonna help their student, because that's what they do.
But I would also think that most teachers would take the children outside if they had aerosolized cans, right? And it's like,
Right.
stay here and let's everybody line up and get them sprayed down before they head out to wherever. So I don't see a reason to restrict it at this point, and maybe that could be up to the discretion of the teacher in the classroom based on feedback that they get from parents about particular students and potential allergies.
Yeah. Yes, Lois.
And again, the second option allows for the principal or designee to change things later on. So it gives the option for the administration to change. So that's why I
Yeah.
support the second option. I don't see any risk with it. As the first option, I think we would all agree that we don't need notes to bring sunscreen.
All right, so are there any other questions or concerns? I know we can ask again for formal feedback from staff. And if there's any, like a GREA representation here, if you're able to also weigh in through your chain of command, that would be helpful. And then it will come up on our next agenda for a decision. So if we can have like a straw poll, I guess, just to see where we are as a board. If you're wanting option, like we'll call it option A, if you could raise your hand. Option B. Okay, all right. And then we're waiting to hear formally from administration if there's any, additional thought process with regards to sunscreen. So, thanks. Let me just pull up the thing. Okay, so then on to bylaw 0145. So at the last meeting, our special meeting, I mentioned policy or bylaw 0145 with regards to resignation and removal of any board member, and if there's a clause or any kind of like restriction where we can say like what if you said that you're resigning 6 months from now or something like that, like is there a time limit that can be placed? And preliminarily the answer was like, well, maybe. I spoke with Mr. Zittimer, and he said Today, I actually spoke with him, asking him to do kind of like a review, the legal process of like whether or not that's something that we could enter into our bylaws. And he said that he wouldn't advise it, like the state would say like three consecutive meetings. However, he said that with regards to, what is that, good cause. The good cause is often left up to, like this open discretion, like who gets to determine it. There isn't a good answer there. There isn't a good answer. Like it's something that could be potentially touchy. So, good cause is going to be a point of contention, essentially, legally. So, so he said that at this point in time that he would just recommend us leave the policy as is, and that, like, yeah, you can't, the only body that can remove a board member earlier than usual would be the School Ethics Commission. You had a question?
Yeah, can we put good cause, comma, is decided by the board majority, or?
He said that good cause is going to be open to interpretation. Like, you're not able to easily define it. It's going to depend, like it might be situational or.
But somebody has to actually
Yeah,
vote on the good cause. Somebody actually
Yeah,
has to
we would
say-
then, yes, yes, we could turn around and say that, like, we didn't think that it was good cause and involve our lawyer in that process. But it is like through that, like, we wouldn't be able to put it in the policy to say like this, or this. We basically would go through the process and say that we don't believe that something is good cause. And then our lawyer would then weigh in and make that kind of like legal determination. And if there was a gray area, then that would change.
So the lawyer will ultimately make the call, you're saying?
It would have to be supported by our lawyer.
Okay.
I think that we wouldn't, we would have like no leeway to make that decision without having legal weigh in on that. Otherwise, you'd open yourself up to litigation or ethics complaints. So, questions, comments? All right. Old business for the policy update. Do you want to talk about or talk through it for us?
Yes, so we're currently reviewing all the policies. We're starting with the mandatory policies as defined, and we're in this process of getting the words and the policies themselves and drafting them, and then we'll bring them to first reading. So we're focusing on the mandatory ones first, and then we'll start to tackling the other ones.
Yeah. And thank you, Mr. Canales, and Ms. Jean, really just helping us like get information from Strauss Esme to see if, like to find out when some of these policies might have been updated, because I know typically when we get the policy updates, we find out which ones are mandatory, which ones are recommended, and then we make the adjustments. But it seems like the NJSBA is saying that there were additional ones that we haven't updated that should have been updated. So we're finding out that information, and then we'll keep a tally and update, and then we'll bring the policies forward. All right, accurate? All right, so on to governance. Any old business or anything that you want to discuss for governance? I think my only, standpoint here is like our governance, again, like just for anybody that happens to be watching, is committee of the whole. And so there are two common structures that exist with school boards across the state. It's committee of the whole as well as committees. When was the change made? Like 2019 or 2018? 2018. So in 2018, the board at the time decided to. It was 19. 2020. Yeah. So somewhere between 2019, 2020-ish. The structure, I would say, like when I came in, it was like I think the first year that we had gone to committee of the whole structure. And so some of the differences between our governance structure and other boards across the state are that you have sometimes you could break up into different committees. Like all of these things that we're talking about right now, we're talking about policy, governance, instruction and programs, special services, management and community, business, whether it's like fiscal or operations or buildings and grounds and things like that. You could have, other boards might have individual committees that are split up amongst the board where you're able to talk, about each of these things as a committee. And the structure that we went to was a COW, or a committee of the whole. So instead of having individual, like smaller groups talk, and meet, like, let's say monthly or bi-monthly or something like that with all of these things, we decided, or it was decided, that you would have a committee of the whole, meaning like we're talking about each of these items together. The challenges, again, there are that everything is then in public. And it's not so much a transparency issue between us and the public, because anything that is going to go to, like a vote or anything like that would eventually come into the meeting that is in front of the public. And that's basically, if you were going to make a decision to, change programs, when you first have that initial conversation and say, is there a problem? Do we see a problem? What are the types of things that we could do? Sometimes all of that work is done in the background, and that's essentially what the committee work would be. And then you come and you bring your findings, and then you bring it to the decision makers, and then you have this whole discussion about what it is that you found, and then you vote on it. And so the challenge, and I've spoken with various field reps over the years, the challenge is that when you're having those early fact-finding conversations and you're just like, oh, I wonder, should I do this? What do we think? It's very limited when you're having all of that in public, because you're afraid to say something that could potentially be wrong or look stupid or like whatever it is. And, but that is our structure. So little by little, we have been talking a lot more in public with regards to all of these individual things. And I would say that unless the board decides that they want to change their structure, we just have to get used to having these kinds of open, conversations with the community, and the community allowing us to be like, oh, like that wasn't a good idea, or that was a good idea, or like, this is the process. So I figured I'd take that moment, since we didn't have anything on governance, to just review that. Any questions or comments or thoughts about it? Any wishes in terms of what we're currently doing or to make it more effective? Okay. Oh, sorry.
Just wanted to clarify that when there are the committees, those are smaller groups of a max of, what, 4?
Like, yeah, 4.
And
So typically, like, the board
those are not in
president-
public at all, so
Yeah.
that's just one of the huge distinction.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They don't have to be non-public. I know that some,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the committees,
Subcommittees
it's
could
not
be-
a quorum, so it's not a decision-making body.
right, but you can still make it public.
You could,
Yeah.
but then what would be the difference as well, like doing it here too?
It allows to do more meetings and more operationals, and allows the board to focus on more things rather than having to concentrate at one meeting. I've seen that happening in real life in other districts, and the depth that you can go into conversations in a committee, even if it's public, because you just focus on one thing, is much deeper. The committee can bring experts. If we had the committee on policies, we could have a conversation about the sunscreen policy separately, with a long conversation, and bring the experts to it. So, or budget or curriculum. So the COW system does not allow for in-depth conversations and dive dipping into so.
Yeah, I think, like, based on our current COW system, like, each topic, like, we have like a 20-minute maximum, unless we decide to extend it, which we could at any point in time. So we really technically could talk for as long as we decided. However, I agree with you, like, it's a lot to focus on all of these things. If you're going down, like, you get fatigued. But, yeah. That's just,
The other part is that there's no owner, because if there's a committees, there's a chairman for the committee, and they own it, and that's their focus. And I've literally been in subcommittees, conversations that have been for several hours, like budgets or curriculum. And that's why I think that the committee structure is much better. I know we're doing some hybrid, and we're looking at it, so which is great, but yeah, I see a lot of more advantages of committees rather than a CAL.
thank you. Okay.
But I would just get to add to that, I think the duty of a committee is to present it to the whole board too. It's just an opportunity to go into that rabbit hole and pull something out and really kind of refine the messaging, which is something that is hard when there's 9 of us discussing a whole topic. I think we're all very politely waiting our turn to add in something. Somebody might say something twice in a row I agree to, but I don't want the public to have to hear it the third time. So it just kind of goes away, and it looks like individual voices, whereas if there were committees, and so I'm often stepping on the gas to say, hey, this is an opportunity for a committee to work. They only work when the committee is functioning in a way that it's the owner of that information,
Yes.
but not that decision, so that we're here to present and then get
Yep.
the rest of the board up to speed on a more involved discussion, so.
Because part of, at least the concern that I had heard about the committee structure was that if it is also a potential way to block it out from getting to the rest of the board, like in terms of information and how it's shared, who's on the committee, or how, like if you're, like, let's just say humans are humans, so if you decide that you want to do an initiative, but you want to steer it in one direction, then it can be steered in that direction. Next thing you know, you're presenting it to the whole board, and you realize that it wasn't as broad of a search or a broad of a discovery period that you thought. Like, it can be guided in that small environment. So it's, I think it's either way, either thing that we do, like there are risks and benefits, but we can continue to have the conversation, and always open to hearing from you what, what you want to see or what you want to see more of, so. All right, under INP, was there a PD day for staff?
There was. As you know, there are a couple half-day PD days throughout the year. The first one was today, and the second one I think is in March 14th, 12th, I don't know, somewhere in there. So there were a few things that happened today as far as what was going on. We really did it more localized for elementary type of things versus the middle and high school. Elementary had some specific PD things that they wanted to focus on, including additional training for the 4th and 5th grade teachers for the Sunday program, the new phonics word study program that we're rolling out this year in 4th and 5th. So we brought those folks back to give them a little bit more. They also had various things on assessment and phonics practices, kind of for K to 3 for those kind of refreshing from last year. CPI training, which is crisis prevention and intervention. Some training on the new line boards, which are smart board, but different brand, and they behave differently. Yes, Ed? Okay. So I know they did some things with that. They did strategies for students with ADHD. Other things about classroom management, engagement, things like that. At the middle school and high school, we focused a lot more on SEL for teachers. So we brought in a presenter from an organization called Inhabit, Sean Pritchard, who did a lot of mindfulness and breathing and body awareness and those things with staff. And then all staff or all affected staff anyway, let me change it that way, got some training on the NJSLA fall pilot test that's coming out, which I'm sure you're nodding your head, I'm sure. So in case you're not aware, the NJSLA tests, which happen in the spring, are going to a new format, a new provider, a new everything this year. And so in late summer, they told us, oh, we're going to do a run-through of the test in the fall. So we've been putting that together. Just some highlights for that. I think you're going to get the information soon as parents and community members. All school districts with eligible students are required to participate in the fall field test. the window we have to do it is within 3 weeks, so October 27th through November 14th. We're doing it October 28th, 29th, and 30th, because the following week we're not here, and the following week is, I can't remember why. There are other reasons as well. The students will be taking a sampling of items and not a complete test for any subject. The tests are reading, math, and writing. We won't get any scores from this. We'll make it really clear. We're not getting scores, parents are not getting scores, students are not getting scores, they're testing the test. So the field test is about the quality and performance of test items, not to measure student achievement. So like a few years ago when we had that Start Strong test in the fall, we got results. We're not getting anything this time. We're just gonna make sure the whole thing actually works. It's also gonna require a schedule change at the middle and high school. There'll be a delayed opening for seniors a couple of the days, and one day is kind of mixed. So just want to let you know that's all coming. And so we spent time today prepping teachers for this new platform and all of those things.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Any questions? Yes, Ms. Berlamis.
The elementary training that they did, was that done at the individual elementary schools? So they all stayed at the same school?
I believe that they put all the 4th and 5th grade teachers in one location for that.
Okay. And was the Sunday training for the phonics, was that done by like a certified teacher that came in, or how was it done?
Through the Sunday folks, the people that make the program and sell us the program.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, so also, like, I guess I'll just add it under governance. Or, well, it'll go under community. So I sent you all a link. I'm trying to put all of the HSA calendars on like a link that you could subscribe to into your calendar, just so that we can see where they all are. I think it could be challenging historically for us to make all of the meetings. And so sometimes the meeting might fall on a day that you can go, or that you can't go and someone else can go. And if we can just try to find a way, like even checking in with each other, like, I can do this meeting, I can't do that one, and like, you know, figure it out, just so that we're able to attend, at least have representation. There are many that are Zoom, so a lot of times you might even be able to attend a Zoom for a school that you might not, you know, have signed up for. So I'm going to get that information. I spoke with, or I emailed our HSA president, and she said that she was able to, they're going to put the Federated HSA calendar up this week, and then that will, I'll manually enter all of the different dates in there, and we can make sure that we have representation. I know that the Federated meeting is this week. I know, Ms. Calve, you said you were going to be able to go. Unfortunately, after work. And then we'll kind of like roll it out from there. All right. Oh, yes, yes.
I also added CPAC to the calendar. They have a meeting this week.
So I saw that meeting for this time, and it said that administration, like when, in your experience, when it says like administration not attending, does that mean that they typically would also not want us to attend? Because I wasn't.
So it usually means that like Dr. McKay won't be there. I'm in a unique situation because I'm also a parent.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's okay for someone to go for all parents, or maybe for the ones who are parents to go.
Well,
yeah,
you-
no,
you
there's not
go.
like an agenda. There's not like a report from Dr. McKay on the agenda, so it's not.
Got it.
But I don't think you're not allowed to go. But I guess I can check in with the team and find out and get back to everyone.
Thanks, because then I'll just know.
I went to one of their trainings last year that they had.
Yeah, I know that
Right.
was one of their programs,
Right.
and they have one coming up in early November again.
It was excellent.
So, but let me ask them for more clarity around that. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Oh, it's okay. No apology needed. Thank you. All right, so high school cell phone policy.
I mentioned that this at the last meeting, that the state put out had a commission that did a report on cell phone use in schools, not just high school. And they recommend a bell-to-bell ban at the high school level. There are many school districts around that have absolutely no cell phones out during the day. The kids put them in a pouch. You can have them released at the end of the day. Some schools have it. You just don't take it out, but you can have it out during lunch. So what I would like to do is to look at our current policy. I'd like to get input from the administrators, the staff, and the families to see is our current policy okay in Glen Rock? Do we need to have a total ban? Just to kind of explore our options on this to either, like I said, keep this the same, or to make it a little more, a little stricter. The Department of Ed has guidelines, like questions that we should be asking, like what happens in an emergency. Like I know my friend's daughter's school lost power, so they all said, take your cell phones out and call your parents, but kids don't have their cell phones. Obviously, that's not gonna happen. So I would just like us to look at that and see if we need to change our policy or keep it. Just to get a feel for what everybody else in the community thinks. And a student, I'd like to hear what the students say.
Yes. I think last year, not this time, maybe in the spring, this came up. I think you brought it up, Boaz, right? And so we were hoping to hear, like, from our high school, like, is it something that is amenable to at the high school level? Is it not? I think we still want to hear and figure out, like, what the thoughts are, what the concerns are, what the feedback is, and so that is definitely a great idea. Thank you.
There was a good article too, some superintendents spoke in different districts, and some were all for collecting them during the day, and there was another superintendent who said if we're, this is a part of a child's life with, so we all know the ills of social media, and we've all probably spent too much time on our phones, but we also have to teach them how to use everything properly. And if you just take something away, sometimes they may not learn that. So I just think it's a really good discussion that we can have as a community to craft a policy that, we need buy-in from everybody, because if this is what we're going to say, then we need the support of the staff and the families.
Christine and then Stephanie.
So I did read a few different versions of the ban, but the bell to bell, from my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is not really like you put the phone away when you walk in the building, you put it away in the classroom. So you're banned in the classroom from having your cell phone, I think is what the state policy proposed is. Is that what your understanding is?
I think it leaves it open to interpretation, because there are school districts in the area that actually collect their phones, and the kids put them in some pouch, and then when they leave at the end of the day, they go to the magnetic strip to open the pouch and take their phone
Yeah,
out.
because I did.
Or there's lockers. I think some school districts use lockers, and some don't. You just have to keep them in your backpack. So I think it's kind of left open to interpretation.
Okay. I did see that there's funding, state funding, I believe, available for schools so that they can actually have the purchase of those bags for each classroom, which leads me to think that it could be,
I think
banned.
that grant that's out there, if I read it correctly, is only good to the end of this month.
Well, let's apply. Really? Is it? What? It's only good to the end of this
I
month?
I read that story quick, and I saw it yesterday.
I
I'd have to
didn't
look
read
into it
that.
more, but I don't know.
Okay.
Greg, did you get it? Do you know if we got anything?
I have not seen a grant
Right.
about that, so.
I mean, I don't know if the way our policy is written out, maybe we may fall into it because the kids aren't supposed to have them, but it's up, I think it was said it was a minimum of $500 to buy pouches or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I looked at it, I'm like, that's like a quick turnaround.
Yeah, I didn't see that timing, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So more to follow, I think. Go ahead.
So it's not a secret that I support a full ban to bell, including the high school. It's working great in the elementary school, it's working great in the middle school, and that's why they extend, at least that was the explanation, that they extended in the middle school. So we have a blueprint. I don't see a reason why not to implement it in the high school. But to the point, like, I don't see, like, why won't we start doing a research or ask the community or ask parents and students? So I'm not sure what will be the next step with that, but I do support starting the community survey and the community engagement. I think it's a good time.
I just want to make sure we, talk to the teachers and the principal. I was at high school back-to-school night, which was amazing. Both of the back-to-school nights have been really fantastic this year. And every single teacher actually addressed what their policy in their classroom was. A lot of them had pockets or cubbies or something. So definitely a group that we would want to weigh in heavily on what works best in the high school.
So to that point, it might be interesting to get some data, because I don't have any information about how many students, in the high school run afoul of any of the classroom policies or the school policies. I know last year my own kid came home and I had to come up to the school, but other than that, really absent information. So it'd be interesting to see how well students are adhering to the current policy.
I'll add, one of the teachers said that the incoming freshmen, it's been remarkably smoother this year because they're coming from the middle school, which already has the new policy, for what
Yeah.
it's worth.
Yep. I mean, certainly if there was going to be a change, it wouldn't be able to be done without the input of administration, the teachers, the parents, et cetera. So I would expect the same thing. I think at this point, all it is that we're bringing it up again. And we would like the data. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah. All right, so I'll.
Sorry, so instead of asking for the data again, can we put a, board, a decision or request or a formal request to get the data or the opinion of the administration? Because I don't want to keep delaying it from.
So that is, I can't direct goes on in the schools. I know you know that, but I'm just saying that for the purposes of our meetings, I can't direct. Like, I can ask for the information. I can say, formally, again, like, when we spoke about this in the spring, we said that we were going to revisit it over the summer. And as we all know, there's been a lot of activity, with regards to the board since the summer through till now. So we're just going to ask again. We're going to I'll put it in an email and I'll send it and make the request formal. No problem there. All right, so on to AI. There's a variety of things. So I'll start by saying that one of the things that I found online just that popped up on my Facebook was in Englewood, the teachers union there, as well as in coordination with the NJEA and this other organization called the Linden Institute for AI Literacy, they're having this big free parent workshop with the intro to AI, and it said it's hosted by the Linden Institute for AI Literacy in partnership with the teachers unions, and it says, come curious, leave confident, discover what artificial intelligence really is and how to support your child's learning safely and responsibly. What you'll learn is plain language, AI basics every parent can understand, real examples of AI that help with homework, reading, organization, and also how schools think about responsible and ethical use. It's for parents, caregivers, community members, etc. And so I looked up this Linden Institute and I just sent a request that says, hey, can you send me a little bit more about your programs? But I thought that like you had said before, that there's many different places where AI, where you would touch on it, whether is it a curriculum thing, is it really for professional development, is it something that we could host things like this where there's a parent workshop where you're able to talk with your kids. One of the things that you sent me the other day was called Learn Your Way. It's a Google program, and it takes the information that that students would have. Say you have a student that really loves basketball, lives and breathes basketball, and they are now in physics class, and you're basically able to load the lesson into this AI program, and then say well, how does the kid like to learn? What are the things that they're interested in? And you would just basically say, okay, they're really interested in basketball, they're really interested in these other things, and it would pretty much take that lesson and then translate it into a way that somebody that's really very fluent with basketball knowledge would be able to apply the program. And I thought that was really interesting, and according to that article or video, it was saying that it has increased the ability for children to just understand the concepts. That being said, I've also read other articles that talk about the concerns about AI and not even just the ethical use, but that the kids aren't really understanding the foundations of the information. It's different if we're using AI, we're all subject matter experts in whatever our profession is, and we can use that to enhance our discussions. However, when kids don't necessarily have those same basics, it may stunt certain learning. So I guess I'm curious, hearing from, staff and administration, what are the ways, like, where are there areas of opportunity for our programs, and like, are you, I don't know, are you able to tell me?
So I know that a couple of our supervisors are putting together a presentation to share with the board about things that we have done with AI and kind of where we're leading towards with AI. I'm not sure what meeting they're scheduled to do that, but I know that they're working on that and will be happy to present to the board.
Great, thank you, thank you. Any other questions, concerns, thoughts? Okay, all right, on to our next thing, fiscal management. Mr. Cooks.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. So we are, all of the i's are dotted and t's are crossed on our audit for the 24-25 school year. I received draft financials this evening. At some point this week, I will be dropping into a board folder all of the documents that we're going to be issuing. And Paul Lurch will be here at our November 10th meeting. Paul is our audit partner, and he will be here to review the audit with you and answer any questions that you may have. I can tell you, just as a preview, it is a clean opinion with no recommendations. So that's all good news. Moving on to some old business, our press box bid opening is this Wednesday. And I know that a number of contractors have picked up bid packets, so hopefully we'll have a healthy pool. And lastly, our playground over by the early childhood program area has finally been completed. The water management system has been installed, the ground has been repaired, and we're actually growing grass in some spots, so that's all good.
Excellent, thank you so much, thank you. It is exciting that that project is pretty much at punch list time. So, any questions about any of those items? All right, thank you. Nothing for operations and any liaison reports? All right. Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, we kind of like talked about how we're going to have the HSA meetings and CPAC coming up, so there's not really anything to report yet. All right, so now we're opening public comments. It is 8:06 p.m. If you have any comment, please state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes, at which time you'll hear a bell go off, just to let you know that it would be appreciated if you wrap up your comments.
Good evening. Since I see an empty chair, I don't see our CSA here, so I'd like to acknowledge, like you did as well, to the Glen Rock High School administration for their back-to-school night. I think they did a great job. Their administration was around the building all night talking to parents. Teachers did a great job with their presentations, and the NHS members around the building took care of all the lost parents, so they did a great job. Dr. Robinson, a question for you, and I'll go through all my questions, and I'll sit so you can answer. Are you made aware of when the CSA is not in district? I ask this because in the CSA contract, the board president must have approval of any requests of 2 consecutive vacation days as well as any personal days. The annual school boards is coming up. I assume a couple of you are going down to Atlantic City. I did not get a chance to look at the past agendas, but was our CSA approved to go? Okay. If that was approved, I would ask that you consider rescinding that, because I think his presence is needed here in the district and not somewhere else. Cell phones, I ask you please to talk to the teachers. Don't worry about what the parents have to think. Worry about what the teachers have to think, because they are living with the kids in their rooms every day with the cell phones. So focus on them and what they want, and then share with the kids the why behind the policy and why it's important for them to be focused on their classes and not necessarily scrolling. And my last one, you mentioned that the CSA was asked, I believe, over the summer to give you some input and information about the cell phone policy of the high school. I'm guessing that was ignored since you don't have any of that information to share. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Angela Pucci-Bender, 55 Yardley Court. Not surprised that he is not here this evening, disappointed because he has a job to do. Bear with me as I go through the agenda because there are several things that I wanted to just point out. And the policy with the legal services, I agree wholeheartedly that there should be one voice that contacts our board attorney, and that would be the board president, and the other board members have the right to know that you can use NJ school boards for free legal advice. So that's an area where if you have a question and someone's not available to help, you can actually pick their brain and find out what that answer might be. Special services, it was mentioned about CPAC. In my past experience, I've found that it's wonderful for the parents. It's great if Dr. McKay can bring in some speakers to help provide that. However, I think it's uncomfortable for parents if school board members are in attendance. I don't think it's appropriate. That's my personal opinion. I think that when there's issues that occur, it makes it a little challenging that they have questions to ask the experts that come to speak to them when there's school board members sitting there. Just my personal opinion. I was glad to hear about the early childhood program. However, I would like to plant the seed for the little ones that perhaps maybe in the future we can develop a program for a TAP program, teachers that are aspiring, students that are aspiring to be teachers, and to work with the pre-K. That's an old early childhood lesson. Some of you may remember. I looked up the cell phone on October 1st. The New Jersey DOE came out with a broadcast, and it states that it is open, extended from July 1 of 2025 to June 30th of 2026. So that gives you a little bit more time to look into that. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing, everybody? Roy Clipper, Winslow Terrace. Thank you again, all of you, for taking time. It looks like you came from work, so I appreciate your hard work and dedication. I'm a little disappointed, as the other two people before me, that the superintendent's not here. I was looking, hopefully, to address him face-to-face. I'll be sending an email with a couple of questions that I have and copying you guys as well. But I guess for the public and many people at home watching, how many absences in a row are excused for the superintendent? Number one. Number two, at what point does the board start taking actions when someone doesn't show up for work? Number three, we'd love to know what the responsibilities of the superintendent are as it relates to attending the school boards. And the question I would love to ask him in person is, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I remember in one of the meetings I was here, the superintendent failed to fill out his evaluation form. So I'd love to know if that was ever filled out, number one. And number two, what plan does the superintendent have in place to get the school back on track from the 97th ranking to the top 20 that we used to be? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other members of the public that would like to make a comment? All right. We can close public comments at 8:13 p.m., please. All right, so some of those I can address. I'll start with the questions about Dr. Charleston. Absolutely, Mr. Clifford, you said you wanted to send an email. I would also recommend that you send the email and ask the questions that you have. As to like certain reasons why someone is or is not here, I want to be very careful in terms of how I answer that question, except to say that, that he's allowed to not be here tonight. I just had to be very, like, careful for how I answer any kind of personnel, like, related questions to make sure that I'm staying within, guidelines and not giving more information than should be or things. There's nothing abnormal so much about, like, his lack of presence tonight. With regards to contract things, the contracts for all of the employees, since it's a public, your public employees. So our superintendent, assistant superintendent, BA, our teachers union, our administrative union, all of those contracts are available online. And so you're able to see, like the details that you were asking for. You'll definitely be able to find like how many absences and things like that. Yes, anytime the school board we have one employee. Like we, as a board, only have one employee, and that is the superintendent. All of the other employees then fall under an organizational chart underneath that superintendent. So yes, I do get information when there are, like days that need to be approved and things like that, so I do. And then, yep, that's all I can say about that. You'll be able to see, like, anytime that there's an action with regards to school boards, that does get placed onto the agenda. So yes, those things have been approved. Rescinding them is not on the table right now. But yeah, I hear you. When it comes down to the cell phone policy and the teachers first aspect, absolutely we want to hear from our teachers first. And we weighed their opinions on whether these things can be executed or not executed. Absolutely we weighed the teachers' desires for that. And so that's part of what it is that we are asking for and going to get. Yeah. When it comes to the TAP program that you mentioned, that actually was part of the preschool program goal, that we had an opportunity to have our seniors and or anybody that would be enrolled in that program that then work in the classrooms with the children, with the pre-K group, and providing kind of like a pathway to help produce educators and children that are, like, nurture children that are interested in education. So I will ask for an update on where we are with that, and it's still very early because we just started the pre-K program, so I don't even know where we are with that, but I will ask for an update to see, like how that process has been going now that school has been in for about a month. And thank you for the information about the cell phone grant, which we'll definitely take a look at. I think that answered all of the questions. If I did not answer all of those questions, or even if you found them unsatisfactory, please send me an email. Please send me an email. I love receiving your emails, so please do that. All right, so our next meeting is going to be the 27th, I believe. Yes, 27th. And yes, school boards is next week. So if I can get a motion to adjourn our meeting. Ms. Carosella, seconded by Mr. Hayward. And we are adjourned at 8:17. All in favor? All right, any opposed? Thank you.